All right, welcome CIA candidates to today's Explainer. Today, we're taking a pretty dense textbook topic and transforming it into your ultimate exam-ready playbook. We're going to break down the exact step-by-step process for building a risk-based audit plan. Listen, if you've been struggling to memorize all the sequential steps the IIA expects you to know, or you're just wondering how they actually apply in the real world, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get right into it. So to build a truly risk-based plan, we first really need to understand what risk actually is. The IIA glossary defines risk as the positive or negative effect of uncertainty on objectives. Now, I want you to focus on that word right there, uncertainty. As an internal auditor, your entire audit plan literally has to derive logically from this uncertainty. Because think about it, if you don't understand the organization's objectives or where the uncertainty around those objectives actually lies, your audit plan is just, well, a random list of projects. And that is exactly what we need to avoid.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to introduce our playbook strategy. Then we'll walk through the 3 key phases: foundation, draft to approval, and action and adaptation. After that, we'll test it out with a mini case, and then wrap up with the biggest exam traps you absolutely need to avoid.
Starting with Section 1, the Risk-Based Audit Playbook. We are moving away from rote memorization and straight into application. To help you master this 10-step planning process, we're going to use a super simple memory device, FDA. That stands for Foundation, Drafting and Approval, and Action and Adaptation. That brings us right into Phase 1, the Foundation. This covers the F in our FDA playbook, which includes steps 1 through 4. All right, let's lay the groundwork. First, you absolutely must understand the organization's mission and strategy. Once you have that locked in, step 2 is to identify, assess, and prioritize the risks that are inherent to that strategy. Why prioritize? Well, because audit resources are limited, right? You have to target the most significant exposures. Next up, step 3. You coordinate with other assurance providers if applicable. And then, only then, do you move to step 4 and estimate the resources needed. Notice the strict logic here. You literally can't budget your resources until you know the high-priority risks and who else might already be covering them. And that perfectly tees up the IIA's 3 lines model, which brilliantly illustrates that third step, coordinating with other providers. Just look at the dynamic between the second line, which is going to be folks like your compliance and quality departments, and the third line, which is internal audit. By coordinating your planned activities with that second line through assurance mapping, you're minimizing the duplication of effort and highlighting any coverage gaps. You have to do this before finalizing resource estimates. I mean, imagine budgeting 500 hours for a massive compliance audit, only to find out the second line just finished perfectly testing those exact same controls. Total waste of time, right? Moving right along to Phase 2, Draft to Approval. This covers the D and the first A in our FDA playbook, covering steps 5 through 8. So, here is where we transform all that research into an actual mandate. Step 5, you draft the plan based on everything you just learned. Step 6, you propose it to get crucial feedback from senior management and the board. Step 7, you finalize the plan. And finally, Step 8, you communicate it for formal board approval. The absolute game changer here is that feedback loop. Internal audit doesn't operate in a vacuum. It has to align with the organization's strategic goals. Getting senior management's input and securing the board's formal approval guarantees you have the mandate, the political backing, and the authorized budget to actually execute these engagements. Let's jump into Phase 3, Action and Adaptation. This is the final A in our playbook, covering the last 2 steps, 9 and 10. Okay, this phase is all about remembering that your audit plan is a living, breathing document, not just some static binder collecting dust on a shelf. Step 9, you implement the plan by actually performing the engagements. And then, crucially, Step 10, you assess risks continuously. You know how volatile the business environment is today. If a brand new competitor enters the market tomorrow, or a massive new regulation drops out of nowhere, the organization's risk profile shifts instantly. And your audit plan, it has to shift right along with it. Which brings us to Section 5, our mini case. Let's call this the tech pivot. This is where the plan meets reality. Put yourself in the shoes of the chief audit executive for a second. Your annual plan is totally locked in, but suddenly, management decides to implement a BYOD, bring your own device policy, across the entire company to save on hardware costs. What on earth happens to your static plan now? You've suddenly got employees about to access the company's highly secure network from completely unsecured personal smartphones. Let's trace how this plays out on a timeline. In Q1, your original plan was beautifully approved. Then, boom, Q2 hits, and this BYOD policy is surprisingly launched. Now, as we roll into Q3, step 10 of our playbook violently kicks in. Continuous assessment is triggered. As the CAE, you instantly recognize that this new policy drastically alters your information security control environment. It introduces massive unchecked vulnerabilities. So, by Q4, you have to pivot. You propose an update to the board, and resources are swiftly reallocated to audit this totally new BYOD landscape. And BYOD is just one example, right? The IAA specifically highlights a whole list of emerging technologies that you need to be watching out for. We're talking smart machines, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, and blockchain. If any of these hit your organization, it should trigger an immediate reevaluation of your risk assessment. Why? Because they fundamentally alter how data is processed, stored, and secured. All right, let's wrap things up with Section 6, Exam Traps to Avoid. Let's defend against those tricky indirect questions. This breakdown right here tackles one of the most common traps CIA candidates fall into, confusing the audit universe with the audit plan. Just look at the scope comparison. The audit universe includes literally everything, every business unit, every process, the entire strategic plan. It is massive, and it's assessed at least annually. The audit plan, on the other hand, is a highly prioritized subset. It only includes the areas with the absolute greatest adverse exposures or things with specific cyclical needs, and it's adjusted dynamically. Remember, do not confuse the giant universe of possibilities with your focused, resource-constrained audit plan. Okay, here's another huge trap: the audit risk model. At first glance, it just looks like a math equation. Audit risk equals inherent risk times control risk times detection risk. Quick refresher. Inherent risk is the raw risk before any controls exist. Control risk is the chance that management's controls actually fail. And detection risk is the chance the auditor fails to find a material issue. You definitely must memorize this equation, but honestly, it's way more important to understand how to manipulate it. Because this is the exact dynamic the exam will test you on. Out of those three risk types, detection risk is the only component the auditor actually has direct control over. So think about it. If you're planning an audit and you determine that management's controls are super weak, which means control risk increases, what do? Well, to keep the overall audit risk at an acceptable level, you have to decrease your detection risk. And how do you do that? By doing more work. You expand your sample sizes. You increase the extent of your engagement procedures. They have an absolute inverse relationship. Well, we have covered a ton of ground today, from understanding core organizational strategy all the way to manipulating the audit risk model. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will you apply the FDA memory device, foundation, drafting and approval, and action and adaptation to the emerging risks in your own organization tomorrow? Taking this from a theoretical textbook concept to practical, real-world application is exactly what will make you not just a successful CIA candidate, but a truly exceptional internal auditor. Keep studying smart, stay curious out there, and I will see you in the next explainer.